So, hi, I'm Irene. I live in London. I've been living in London for the past 7 years, 8 years. Originally, I'm Italian from Civitanova Marche, and I am an architect, but I'm still doing my MPhil, which is a Master in Philosophy at Cambridge University, a Master in Urban Design at Cambridge. I'm not in a practice. I've been working in practices previously, but right now I'm just in the academical world of architecture. I actually don't remember a time where I didn't know I want to do architecture. I didn't really get into it. I just always knew I want to do architecture since probably the age of 10, since I can remember. My parents always had laying around magazines about architecture and furniture and everything, and I just always commented on things in the house, on the furniture in the house, and said, maybe this should be here, this should be that. And I think when I was in high school here in Italy, at the age of 15, I realized this is not what will lead me to where I want to be. So I've applied to different schools in London, and I got into very last minute into a boarding school in London, and I just ended up convincing my parents, look, I'm not happy here, I'm not doing what I want to do. And I ended up going to this boarding school where I was doing product design and art, and I was like, this is what I'm meant to do, this is exactly what I want to do, which Italy will never give you, because I was doing like Latin and Greek and literature, which was completely the opposite of architecture. Not completely the opposite, but it wasn't really helping me on my artistic side. And then I just applied at Kingston in architecture, and I understood this is exactly where I thought I was meant to be. And everything, I've been pretty lucky, like everything just went exactly how it was meant to go, and I didn't even have to think too much about it. I didn't even have to think, oh, who do I want to be, what I want to do. It was just something that was in me always, in a sense. What themes? I've been in the past couple of, let's say, 4 years, pursuing a sort of architecture that is influenced by psychology. So I've been struck by a travel that I've done in Japan for my second year at uni, which was about searching and researching Tadao Ando and his approach to architecture. And he's one of my biggest architectural influences, in a sense. And he's one of the few architects that really works with materials and shades and shadows and lights to then communicate something, especially feelings and emotions, to its visitors in a psychological realm. So I always believe that, in fact, by creating some sort of environments, you can influence positively or negatively people. And I think that is the biggest theme I am involved with right now. But then, and that's part of my research at university right now. So my actual academic research goes with the idea of understanding people's psyche and how that can be manipulated through spaces. And then Another theme which is just as important right now is sustainability and consumerism. So it's a little bit where my research started with with psychology, and now is going towards a more economical sustainability and consumerism side, where I'm trying to explore approaches and different methods to consumerism in a sense, which goes a lot with sustainability and green architecture that should be of more relevance right now, 2020. But yeah. So, as I previously mentioned, Tadawand is definitely my main contemporary artistic architecture influence. Um, but I think it sounds very cliche for an architect. Probably for some artists doesn't mean much, but for the architecture world is just square one, the basics. Mies van der Rohe and Le Corbusier are most definitely like my go-to architects. Whenever I'm lost, whenever like I have too many options and approaches to a solution to a problem, and I'm just so confused to what I have to do, I would just go to the basics, which are Le Corbusier and Mies van der Rohe. And it's very cliche because those are the artists, the architects that every architect have to know, and have to know all of their projects, all of their work by just memory. But for me, that's just Bible to where to go to when I'm just so confused, I don't know where to go. And then I have many others in the realm of arts that are still very inspiring for my architecture work, from just even Picasso, Gaudi, and James Turrell, which works very much with spaces and lights, and he's done most of his projects in Japan with the help of Tadawanda. So he's a contemporary artist that align himself with architecture, which for me is very inspiring, and is something that I really want to pursue with my partner, who's a contemporary artist, Fidya. And he works with sculptures, and he works with colors, and he's a protest artist against where society is going right now, which aligns very much with my ideals and what I want to do. So I am really much interested in future where I can collaborate between art and architecture together, whatever that is, whatever is a stand that can hold a piece of art, even if it's obviously going to be something more meaningful than that. But I really see a collaboration between contemporary art and architecture. And so I'm always looking at those sort of influences at the same time. Interactive is a really key word because in Japan, especially in Naoshima, I don't know if you ever heard of the island Naoshima. It's like the paradise for an artist or an architect. Is an island that has been built by an entrepreneur who wanted to go against the technological trends in Japan, where everyone was on their phone and is on their phone and is constantly on social media and everything. And he wanted to kind of stop that trend, and he wanted to go back to the basics and align architecture, art, and nature all together. And he transformed this island, which is very small. It was a fisherman island, into one of the island with most of the most interesting museums and project houses, where in these project houses between Turrell, Rawando, and other contemporary artists actually came together to create an architecture space that can hold a piece of art that you can experience with all of your five senses, maybe six, depends what you believe, but it's actually experiencing art in every form and shape by entering an environmental space built by an architect with the actual idea in mind of experiencing art. And all of this is just embraced by nature of this island, which is an unreal, beautiful island in Japan. So this is kind of a little bit what really influences me the most about where I want to go sooner or later. I don't know when, but the direction that I want to take, in a sense. So far, no. I only recall one challenge, but again, I've only started, or maybe I haven't even started yet. And that was once I graduated in third year from Kingston. Everyone was finding a job, literally so quickly. Everyone was on it, and I was just completely lost. As in, I was applying, I was getting called for interviews. I fell in love with the practice. I must have attended to 15, 20 interviews, and every single one of them went extremely well. I fell in love with them. I thought they fell in love with me. I was like, yes, I have that job in the bag, 100%. And it went from May till August, where everyone was just like, sorry, we can't have you right now. We can't have you right now. And I was getting so stressed, thinking like, why am I the only one in my group not getting a job? And everyone around me was getting a job. And even people that didn't have, I know grade don't mean anything, but maybe on a CV or something, it meant something back then. But everyone was getting one apart from me. And then the last job that I've applied, with the last interview that I did before then leaving to Italy for like a good month, they gave me the job, the final job that I had for more than a year. And that job was the place that brought me to urban design, which is what I'm doing right now, which is what I'm doing at Cambridge University, and what is really motivating me to go farther with leaving a message in this society, in a sense. So yeah, everything is meant to happen in a way that you most definitely are not expecting. So that was challenging, but I understand now that that was what was meant to be. Probably any of those other practice was meant to be for me. Probably they just were not the right place for me, but someone else decided for me, so that's good. In architecture is so different from art, so I don't really have. Maybe ask me in 5 years when I lay my first brick. We do this again in 5 years, and then I have an answer. So yes, actually, I'm going to Los Angeles very soon. Well, first of all, I have to finish this master. Then that's my main goal to go to. But I'm going to Los Angeles in November, which is probably not the perfect time to go to with the elections on the 4th. But or the 6th, I can't remember. But it's going to be very interesting. I'm going there with my partner, who's, as I said, a contemporary artist. But it's going to be really interesting because I'm going to set my foundation for once I finish at Cambridge. I really would like to move from London after 8-9 years that I've been there, and starting to bring what I've learned there somewhere else. So that is something that I'm really looking forward to, and just hoping that something completely new and different is going to come along. And maybe this idea of mine of combining art and architecture together can actually come together in a sense. So goals for the future. In a physical sense, physical meaning of the goals for the future, I think, well, graduating, that's my main goal, and I absolutely can't wait to do it. Architecture is 7 years. It's really long. So I have done 3 years, 4 years of practice, so 1 year of practice, 2 years of masters, 1 more year of practice, and then I can finally do a final exam, which is going to take 6 months to do. So it's very long, and that is my go-to for the future. And so in terms of academics, I really want to achieve this and feel to then one day proceed with my thesis and go to maybe a PhD somewhere else, and trying to expand what I've been developing right now at Cambridge, which is a little bit in between this psychological idea of how architecture can influence its visitors and how can this then expand into the economical and sustainability side of architecture and urban design. So I really would like to expand my research in the academical world, in a sense. And after that, I really want to find a place in the working realm of architecture where I can do something that brings nature and art and architecture together to actually leave a message to society, actually change society. That is not just... I worked for Eliza Morrison in London, which is a massive practice in the UK. And I was really happy that the job was amazing. I was working with urban designers, and I was rebuilding town centres and designing town centres, and it was amazing, which is exactly what I'm doing right now at Cambridge. I'll have some projects which I understand completely why the world works this way, but some projects were mainly led by clients, so what a client wants, and regardless of what is good or bad for the people, you only think about the money as a client. So as someone that is asking an architect, I want you to design for me this building, this office building, or this neighbors with a couple of flats and office buildings and restaurants, blah, blah, blah. The clients is always thinking about money. So they want to build the fastest way possible, the cheapest way possible, and of course, the most efficient way possible, the safest way possible. However, they're not really thinking about, okay, what is this gonna really look like in 10 years, 20 years, or even 50 or 100 years? I'm Italian, so for me, this legacy of what is gonna be left in the world is really important for me. It's what you're gonna leave for 1,000 years even, because I can just walk outside or go to a trip around the corner and actually see something that's been here for 1,000 years. So for me, that is key. And I've seen many work in London and in practices in London where they can't even, maybe they want to think that way, but they just can't, because everything is ruled by the clients. So who pays for this project? The clients. So some architects just completely lose the vision, the idea, the passion for architecture, about actual what architecture is and where it came from, which is about leaving something for generations and generations, something that still carries a meaning and still affects you psychologically, or affects you in whatever different religious or different way of life or approach you have. That's what architecture is, but some people just completely forget it. So I think obviously Los Angeles is not the place for it, but I need to find another place that is not London right now. It's in the next probably 10 years that can lead me to a job, or to a solution, so to a collaboration, or to a project that doesn't make me forget about what architecture is. Makes sense? So I don't know exactly what that is. It will come probably after I've graduated and everything, but I'm keeping this in mind, not forgetting what I really want to leave with architecture for the society, for the future. So I think that is, a future plan. It's not really precise. It's just what will lead me to the next step after I graduate. We touched a little bit of those themes early on, and regardless of if you are a painter, a writer, a singer, an architect, an urban designer, interior designer, anything, I think is about leaving a message, leaving something to whoever use or see or hear your art, your artwork, your project, your sculpture, your writing, your song. It's about making people feel a certain way. So maybe if you're not thinking about an exact message, but just making move something in people and becoming emotional in any sort of sense. I think we're going towards a society that is really getting emotionless about, we just go by and we probably don't feel anything because we are surrounded by everything we have ever wanted to have, and we have everything on this, right? So we can have everything whenever, however we want it, at any time, and you just become emotionless. Remember when we were kids and you just really wanted something and you struggle for a month with your parents or just by collecting some pocket money and finally getting it? That was amazing, and you actually felt something. Or even when you had to meet with one of your friends after like weeks or months that you didn't see them, and you finally see them and you're so happy. Now you just see everyone at anytime you want to see, you just call them at any time you want to call them. We just lost the value of things, the small little things. So I think art is one of those things that still can move people, that still can make people feel something, rather than even if it's from your phone, even if it's from technology, even if it comes through technology, but just art itself can still make you feel something, which life sometimes is now, because of everything we have, is now struggling to make us feel certain ways. So I think arts and the role of an artist is that. And I hope and I want to really think that artists right now are just not pursuing the career of being an artist just for money, just creating something silly that people like and they're like, oh yeah, amazing, with some contemporary arts, for example, but just still believe that what they're doing can move people in a certain way and leave a message is one thing, and at the same time trying to make people feel something. Yeah. In art, I don't think I can give too many advice unless the usual one where you just carry on doing what you're doing, even if no one likes it, even if no one believes in you or like what you're doing, just carry on doing it. Because as long as you really believe in what you're doing, then you know that's the right way forward. In the world of architecture, God, just make something that, for people that wants to do architecture, just make something that actually helps other people. I think that the biggest message for the architecture can leave, regardless if it's timeless, regardless if it's probably never going to be as great as the Romans or as the Greeks, that you build something is going to last forever. Nothing lasts forever here, but as long as you make a project, a house, a street, a, a shop, whatever, as long as that helps people, even just disabled people, even if it's the perfect circulation for disabled people, even if it's got that window that someone looks out at it and think, wow, this frames the most amazing view ever, and everything else is just blank walls. Doesn't matter, as long as you make something that actually helps people, then you're doing something right. And that's for architecture, I think. Okay, but I don't know, I'm not even there yet, so